The film begins with a man named Arden. At that time, he heads to the hospital to meet with his wife, who is also a doctor there. Along the way, he meets an elderly receptionist who mischievously instructs him to cut in line. Upon hearing that, frustrates Arden, leading him to react impulsively, showing a weapon and demanding to see his wife immediately. At that moment, Louise is taken aback when she sees her husband standing there with a weapon, interrupting her work. Then, once Arden meets Louise, they begin to talk. There, Arden expresses his disappointment that Louise didn't keep her promise to meet him at the cafe. He shares his longing to see their child, whom he hasn't seen in a while. Learning that their child is with Louise's parents, Arden insists that Louise accompany him home to reunite with their son. Then, as Arden steps out of the room, the hospital is suddenly surrounded by numerous police cars. Feeling trapped, he tried pointing a gun at Louise. In the middle of the chaos, Louise begs Arden to put away the weapon before anyone gets hurt. Arden, however, chooses to negotiate. He demands that one of the officers, named Lucas, enter the hospital without any clothes on, as per a message he received from someone who wished to speak with the police. Once inside, Lucas and Arden engage in conversation. There, Lucas urges Arden to surrender, promising a reduced sentence for illegal weapon possession as long as Arden refrains from threatening anyone further. But instead of complying, Arden insists on a getaway car with specific features, threatening to harm Louise if his demands aren't met. He told that he has a drastic plan he's prepared at home, fueled by the pain Louise has caused him. Soon after, Arden explained that Louise had kicked him out and wouldn't let him see their child. He only came to pick her up so he could finally reunite with their child, whom he hadn't seen for a long time. Upon hearing Arden's story, Lucas agreed to help, but he had conditions. He wanted to check Arden's bag and ensure everyone could leave safely. Hearing that, Arden agreed easily because he never intended harm and never forced anyone to stay with him. Soon after, several policemen arrived, offering Lucas a car. They all left, Arden and Louise covered to avoid media attention. At that time, Lucas didn't seem worried about the danger and continued to assist Arden without hesitation. Meanwhile, Arden kept his gun pointed at his wife, staying on his position. During all the commotion, Arden felt frustrated when he noticed that Louise's wedding ring was missing. He interpreted this as a sign that his wife no longer wanted to be with him. At that time, Lucas calmly listened to Arden's complaints and advised him to put away his weapon. He was worried that the situation they were in was dangerous, and Arden might accidentally harm his wife. Ignoring Lucas's advice, Arden insisted on turning on the radio to hear news updates about himself. He was shocked to hear that his actions were being labeled as terrorism because the police suspected he was carrying a bomb in his bag. Lucas, upon hearing this news, reported the misunderstanding, ensuring that Arden was no longer considered a terrorist suspect. As they going, the couple frequently argued, with Arden blaming his wife for kicking him out of their home. Louise had even reported him to the police, resulting in Arden spending 3 months in prison. In that moment, Louise's quiet demeanor made it seem like Arden was the only one speaking, painting himself as the victim. He claimed he suffered unfairly for mistakes he didn't make, leading to arguments blaming Louise for everything. Halfway through the journey, Lucas asked Arden for permission to stop for gas since they hadn't prepared beforehand. There, Lucas cheerfully went to fill up the tank and offered food to the couple, who had been traveling without eating for a while. But Arden refused to eat, affecting everyone, including Lucas. So they continued their journey on empty stomachs. In the quietness of the journey, Arden tried to lighten the mood by asking Lucas about his home life. Lucas shared that he once had a wife, but had to divorce for personal reasons. They still co-parent their 2 children. Hearing this, Arden started to vent about Louise to Lucas, criticizing her parenting. He told a story when their child was taken out in freezing temperatures without proper clothing, and when Louise disappeared for a month, leaving them wondering where she was. Feeling like she can't tolerate Arden's complaints any longer, Louise finally spoke up. She explained that Arden had also left her while she was pregnant to be with other women. Besides that, she suffers from a mental illness called psychosis, which makes it hard for her to recognize between reality and imagination. She had to undergo treatment for a month because of it. Despite attempts from everyone, including Lucas, to resolve the argument, it escalated, and Lucas even got attacked when he tried to intervene. Upon arriving home, they quickly hid in the trunk to avoid being seen by other police officers. At that moment, Louise's father, waiting for them, upset Arden by blaming him for not caring about their child's well-being. This led to a heated argument between them, each blaming the other for the situation. Soon after, Louise's mother arrived, and now Louise was arguing with her own mother. It was evident that the relationships were strained. At that time, Arden insisted on seeing his child, and Louise reluctantly complied, bringing their child to meet him. However, when the child was coming, Louise's father showed up with a rifle, intending to harm Arden and Louise. Despite Arden's mistakes, Lucas remains patient and gentle, not showing any signs of annoyance. This leaves us uncertain about Lucas's true feelings towards Arden. Initially, Lucas planned to escape with Arden and his family via plane. He requested a ticket for Arden's family to return to their home country, but the airline refused due to the risks involved. With no other option, Lucas had to let them go. Deep down, Arden wants to reunite with Louise and raise their child in a loving and peaceful environment, away from interference. However, he chose the wrong path by using threats, knowing the consequences it would bring. Actually, there was a potential solution for Arden to avoid legal consequences by being deported through an ambassador. However, this meant being separated from his family, which he couldn't bear. Instead, he chose for a third option, which asking for a ferry so he could leave with his family. Upon hearing that, Lucas seemed increasingly desperate with Arden. At that time, Louise suggested Arden accept deportation while she and their child continue their lives. Upon hearing that, Arden refused, expressing that he'd rather face any consequence than lose his family. Despite all of the drama, Lucas remained patient with Arden and Louise, hoping they could fix the situation together. Now, Arden was feeling cornered. Then he told Lucas that he wants to continue his journey. At that time, he knows that there's a ship that's willing to take him. Upon hearing that, Lucas agreed. Then, while on the journey, Lucas shared with Arden that he had 2 children, but had to separate from them due to an affair. He mentioned that his eldest child would turn 13 soon and agreed to sing at his birthday party. Lucas wanted Arden to understand that there's still hope for getting back together with his family, and that he shouldn't do all of this or he will regret his choices. As Lucas continued to offer understanding, the sound of the child crying due to the tense situation made Louise feel ill. She pleaded with Arden to end the drama for the sake of their children. Overcome with emotion, Louise began to tell about something happened in the past, expressing her love for Arden and her struggles with her illness, feeling different from others. Hearing this, Arden could only see her in tears, filled with regret for what had happened. At that time, Louise also admitted that it was too late for them to reconcile after Arden had abandoned her when she needed him the most. Long story short, they finally reached the dock. There, Arden handed his phone to Lucas so he could wish his child a happy birthday, and they both kept their emotions in check during the call. Arden then asked Lucas to buy him coffee so he could talk privately with Louise. At the end, Louise showed her wedding ring, which she already transformed into a pendant with their child's heartbeat, and there she tells that they couldn't be together anymore. Arden, feeling defeated, cried and admitted he was alone now. Accepting Louise's decision, Arden surrendered his weapon. At that time, Louise hesitated but then took it and threw it away. After that, she gave Arden one last hug. With Arden disarmed, the police moved in and arrested him. He surrendered with a smile to Lucas and his children and wife. The film ends. The moral lesson from this film is, remember, bringing a weapon to a family gathering won't make your ex-wife come back to you, unless you're aiming for a cell with free room and board.